introduction to success, we talk about identity. So identity is becoming the person success can trust. Now, when you hear people say it doesn't work for me, I am just always broke. This is the kind of person I am. Um, Business doesn't work for me, because you've seen them fail over time and they have been able to curate an identity out of it. You see that what happens is that their lives begin to revolve around the same stories that they believe in. I'll give you another example. So when you find people who self-destruct, or people who attract those the opposite sex who are toxic and they want to get into a romantic relationship, now what they have done is, I want to get into a romantic relationship, but because they are used to being with toxic people, the neuroscience of their body, the science of their body only would attract because of the data that their brain has gotten over time, their memory, and how their brain functions. It can only recognize people who are toxic, and then it's going to draw them to the person. So an actual example would be this. If you want to get into a real relationship, not a toxic one, but all you have known, all the people you have known are those who are toxic. You know their traits, that the people who have filled your brain. You know that they are not honest. They can lie till I wanted to say till Jesus comes. They can lie to your face. They can manipulate you. So because you have information about these people, so much so that your brain really has enough data, when the right person that you've been looking for begins to come around, your brain, because it's not familiar, will not see those people. It will only see other people who are toxic, and your brain will identify them and bring them around and tell you, maybe this one is not that bad, maybe this one is not that evil, maybe this one is trying to be honest, or maybe this one will really be honest. And because of that, you entertain them, and they still execute whatever evil they've had in mind, or bad character they've had in mind. So you see how that your self-identity and your self-image will bring people, and not just people, who keep playing your life around the same scenario and around the same reality. So if you believe that you fail at things that you are not really sure that you're going to be successful, that is what is going to come out of your life. Success is going to be extremely far away from you. Now, I'll give this example. I was speaking with somebody. I had a session 2 days ago, I believe 2 days ago, with somebody who told me, we were talking about a business, and I was guiding him through a business he was going to, and he was trying to scale the business internationally. And then I gave him some frameworks he could execute to scale the business, which is quite awesome. But he made a statement. He said, I know this is going to be hard, but I'm just going to do it anyways and be successful. So the way this guy sees life, normally, the normal understanding that he has about life is, it has to be hard. So I called him out on the statement. I asked him, why did you use that statement? Like, I'm seeing, because you said this with your emotions. Why did you say this? And then he said, well, because where it came out from, they believe that life is meant to be hard. You are just going to force yourself through it. Well, there's an iota of truth there. Life doesn't come easy. There's the hard part. But because he never said it may be hard or it may be tough, he said, I know it will be hard. And what happens about that person is, he has created a self-identity where he believes that life has to be hard. So that kind of person, even if life is coming softly to him, he's going to feel, this is too good to be true. I'm not sure this is going to work. I'm not sure this is real. And then because his brain doesn't recognize that life coming as good, is going to fight it, and then it's not going to come. Alexa, stop. I'm really sorry, Alexa is getting to my video this afternoon. So I'm really sorry, Alexa is getting to my video. I did not say the reminder, and I missed the reminder actually, because I didn't follow up what Alexa was telling me. So whatever you believe you are, is what your life is going to reflect. It is what your life is going to give to you. Now, you don't get what you want, you get what you believe you are. So what you believe, like the guy I was saying, believes that life has to be hard. So whatever is coming to him soft, so he's not working for this, but it's coming soft. His mind is going to start labeling it as maybe this is a scam, maybe this is not real, maybe this is a fraud. And because of that, he is not going to pay attention to it, and he's not going to have it generate or give him the best results he wants. So I would like you to leave me a like and a subscribe, and I want you to share this with whoever you know needs to listen to this now, not just anybody. Those you know you've had conversations around this, you know that this kind of people need to hear this, need to understand what their identity is. They've been struggling with it. Maybe they don't even have to pay me to coach them, or they don't even have to pay for any session. Maybe this is what they need to hear. And also, if you pay me for a session, I'm not going to be able to tutor you or teach you like this, because I'm just going to have to walk you around some things. But if you're able to listen to me here, which is not paid, as the case is, which is not paid, you have the privilege to learn and be able to transform your life. So identity sets the ceiling for success. Now, whatever you see as the cap, let me give you another example. So I've met people, I've spoken with people, I've been in various conversations in my life, and some people tell you, you see wealthy people, they always have a sickness, or they always have a problem their money can't solve. Like it's either they have a child that is autistic, or they have a child that is sick, or they have one ailment in their body they are nursing with the money. They have things that their money can't cater for. Now, personally, I know people who are extremely wealthy and they have no problems, no mental issues, no health issues. They are living well. But for those who believe that wealthy people, they have problems, they have issues, they are nursing, the moment anything comes around them to bring them into that experience where they can experience wealth, they will fight it, because they always have an issue. They have this self-story that, oh, I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be in a place where my health is deteriorating, or my money can't buy some things for me. And because they have that inner story around it, they are not going to enter that experience. They are never going to have that experience in their lives. So your self-identity puts a cap or ceiling on whatever experience you'll have in this life. So no matter how much work you do, you always fall back to the level of your self-image. Now, that's why when people say, I don't know what's holding me back, the answer is usually simple. I don't know what's holding me back. I don't know why I can't do this. I don't know why I fail in businesses. I don't know why I keep failing. And I've had things from people that I just try to understand, because obviously I'm a psychologist, but I try to understand the depth of and the weight of the experience they may have gone through to label themselves, oh, I'm just a failure at this, oh, this doesn't work for me. And those are for those who are honest enough to be able to verbalize it. For some other persons, they don't verbalize it. They say it deep within their minds. Like, oh, this just fails. It just keeps failing. The business just keeps failing. And because they say it, they believe it, because they believe it, that is what their experience is going to be at all times. So I want you to share this with whoever needs to listen, with whoever needs to learn about their identity. Thank you so much. So, what is the psychology of identity? You need to understand that your identity is your inner story. It is what you tell yourself about yourself. I'll give you the example to it. So, when I say I am a good person, I'm self-disciplined because I wake up to do what I have to do during the times that I have to do it. I don't fail at things. I am wealthy. I am successful. Even if my present reality doesn't fully or has not fully come into the full expression of the things that I say, but because your brain is not looking for what is real, your brain is looking to believe whatever you say to it. So if you say to yourself that you are successful, that is what your brain is going to believe. If you say to yourself that you are a kind person, I'm kind to people that I meet, I'm a kind person, I'm a genuine person, that is what your life is going to revolve. That is what you are going to see, because that is what your brain is going to believe. Now, let me tell you this. Many people tell themselves lies about themselves For example, they say, oh, I suck at this thing. I'm a failure, or I fail at things, or this doesn't just work for me, or people don't just like me. I'm not likable. I'm not lovable. And it is wrong. It may only be because one or two times they've had those kind of experiences, or because they are too emotional and they are not resilient or emotionally mature to understand how life works and how to turn situations around to help them. And because they believe that and their brain believes it, they start acting it out, because there are many things you act out that you don't know you're acting out. That is why when we talk to you, when I talk to you, I can tell you your level of exposure, your level of understanding, if you're lying, if you're being genuine, or if it's your ego, or you're just trying to show that you have affluence, or you have relevance in life. So what you tell your brain is what your brain believes, whether it is true or not. Now, for somebody like me, and for what I teach my community, it is tell your brain what you want to be. I am successful. Tell, even if it is not, that is what your brain is going to believe. And like I said, your identity is the story you tell yourself. I am successful. I'm a kind person. I'm good at my job. I can withstand any turbulence in my life. I know that I don't give up easily. Not the other way around, I give up easily. And you have to understand that there are two categories of people you find who have different identities, two variants of identities. The first are those who may not be self-aware, but just grown up or growing up because of the environment where they have grown up. Because people there, they affirm things, there are people who make things happen. They don't complain as much or complain as such. There are people who try to change the world. Now, when they grow up, because they caught the energy in the environment, they grow up as people like that. Many times, the other side of it is when you grow up around people who are failing in life, people who are barely trying to even pay their bills, or people who just pay their bills and they feel like they are kings and there's nothing else to show for it. When you meet people like that, or you grow up in an environment like that, what it makes out of you is a lesser identity, where you believe struggle is the real deal, where you believe that success is for a few persons, or success is really tough, success is extremely hard. That is why you find that the children of wealthy people, many of the times, end up becoming wealthy, not just because they were taught or their parents gave them money, but because they grew up in an exposure, they grew up seeing possibilities. For example, the child of the average man barely sees his father risk £50,000 in a business investment. Or let's say the most he has seen his father risk in a business investment is £50,000. Now, that kind of child, and the father comes back home and says, oh, I lost the money. If not because of the money that I lost, would have been successful, the business didn't work, and the man complains over and over and over and over again. Versus a child who sees his dad invest £50 million and the money went down the drain, and then the dad still comes back to say, oh, I'm still going to invest in another business, I'm still going to start another one. Which one do you think will have the resilient mind and believes that he can achieve more things in life? Obviously, the one who sees that he can do, not the one who gets stuck at the experience he has had. Now, for everybody joining me on TikTok, thank you so much for joining. I would love that you leave me comments, and if you want to see this clearly, not on the phone version, you can see me on YouTube, questions left unanswered, and also you can check Facebook, the Sheyi Aliu on Facebook. You have a cleaner reception. So every belief, reaction, and habit flows from the story you tell yourself. The I am story you tell yourself, whether or not you verbalize it, whether or not it is through self-reflection, whether or not it is through self-awareness, what you tell yourself is what you are going to have in your life. So psychologically, I've said the brain is addicted to consistency. It wants to behave in ways that prove your self-concept is right. So whatever it is your brain keeps hearing consistently over time, and I'm going to explain this further for you to have a better understanding of this. What your brain hears over time is what your brain sticks to. Whether it is real, whether it is true, whether it's a lie, That is what your brain sticks to. So, psychologically, I've said the brain is addicted to consistency. Now, when opportunities come, if they don't match your self image, you subconsciously push them away. And if they match your self image, you'll accept them. So, I've seen situations where people were offered opportunities, just pick any. And you find some people go for the lesser one because they feel that is what they can resonate with. In a way, they feel like, what if I take the bigger one and I fail at it? Why not stick to the small one? And I'll tell you this story. A very, very, could have been an unfortunate story. Now, there was this lady who got a job offer to get, I think it was just about regular £2,500, and then got another offer that would, after tax, would get out something like £6,000 or so. And because our mind didn't believe that, oh, I can even exist in an environment where you can earn this amount, because she had grown up, or she grew up from an environment where you either work in McDonald's or you don't aspire to become big. Everyone around you, they get mortgaged. They never buy any house outright. So why would you think of being the first person to do it? So, and it's not like you sit down to think all these things through. Your brain just acts them out for you. You start seeing the patterns in your fears. Like, I'm not sure I really want to go for this big one. There are things that happen to you internally. There are fears, and that shows to you what your identity is. The moment you start contracting or you start having contradictions with the things that you want to go for, it means it is way out of your self-image. You have not prepared, you are not seeing it. You don't see it as a possibility. You don't see it as something that really fits you or befits you, or you have always seen yourself as the opposite version of whatever it is. Now, I hope this makes sense to you. I would love that you leave me likes and comments on TikTok. I'm just trying to see how many of you are there, and this is the first time I'm doing TikTok live, by the way. So thank you so much for joining, and I hope your life is transformed by joining this live today. So that's why when someone thinks I'm not good with money and magically ends up broke, you find that what he says over time, what he says, I'm just not good with money. I'm just not good with women. I'm just not good I'm just not a good husband. I don't know how it's done. I don't know how to do it. That is what they keep saying in their lives. That is what they believe. Because that is the story that happens in their mind. That is the story that happens when you are sitting in front of yourself and you're talking to yourself. Obviously, many of us, the moment you have thoughts in your head, it is you reflecting in yourself. It's like talking to yourself. So when you have those conversations within yourself, what you get is your self-image. Now, the most prominent of the story of the things that happen in your mind is what defines you, what gives us your identity. Now, where does identity come from? I'll take a little time to talk about this, and I believe everybody wants to hear this. Everybody wants to hear this. Everybody wants to hear this, and I want everybody watching me on TikTok to share with everyone you know who needs to hear about their self-identity. So where does your identity come from? The first, I have 3 points here. The first is repetition. Now, what you repeatedly say becomes who you believe you are. What you keep saying over time becomes who you say you are. If you say, I'm just naturally good, I'm exceptionally good, even when you are not so good, against all the odds, you keep affirming and saying and say against if it makes sense or not. That is what your brain believes, and that is what your brain is going to create around you, because it is all energy. Life is all about energy. The people energy, the environment energy. It's all about energy. That is what your brain is going to send around and communicate to bring as an experience into your life. So your identity comes first by what you say. What you say creates your muscle memory. You know what a muscle memory is? For example, as I'm talking to the camera, I don't have to think about where my mouse is. I know where it is because I have over time been picking it. So I don't have to think about it twice. When you drive, for those of you who drive manual cars, You don't have to think twice to shift the gears. You don't have to do that because you have created muscle memory. You've done it over time that your hand knows how to do it without thinking. And it has to do with your brain because I love to say that your brain does way more than the things you are consciously aware that it is doing. Let me give you an example to it. If right now, as you are listening to me, if you ate this morning, whether or not you ate or you didn't eat, if right now you are listening to me, your brain is probably 99%. Your brain is somewhere working on processing the food you have eaten. But you are not consciously aware of that. You just know that it's time to go to the loo. You then go to the restroom. Now, for some of you, your body is healing right now. Your body is healing right now. It is all the things the brain does that you are not consciously aware of. So when you understand the power of the subconscious as it relates to the things you repeat, the things you say, as you say that I'm a failure, how your brain picks the information, even when you think you have not said it. When you say, oh, I'm just a crazy fellow, how your brain picks it, even when you are not sure that I pick it. And I love to give this example. I know many people on TikTok, because you TikTok guys, you watch a lot of TikTok, so I know everybody can relate with this. So you go to a friend's house, he's playing a music, or you go visiting and there's a music playing and you never listen to the music. That's not what you came there for. You just come there to pick an item, and then you pick whatever it is, the package you've come to pick, and then you leave, you get home. 6 hours later, the same song you heard where you visited, which you were never paying attention to, starts playing in your head. And at least 5 lines of the lyrics, and then you feel like, I thought I wasn't listening to this music. I thought I wasn't paying attention to this music. That is how you know and understand that there is a lot more happening inside your body than you are consciously aware of. When you understand these things, you pay attention to what you say, how you say it, when you say it, why you say it, because this is simple psychology. And I hope everybody understands this. Simple psychology. I would want you to please leave me a like if you're following this, and I want you to subscribe, because this is how you get to understand, or you get to have this life transformative sessions on your screen every time. I want you to leave me a like and subscribe. That's how you follow and you have others be able to see this. So repetition creates muscle memory. Repetition informs your brain and gives you memory enough to validate what your identity is. The second is the environment. Now, the last session we had, which is the first time I'm bringing this to TikTok, I'll try to do this more often now, but I still need you to give me a like. Everybody, just give me the thumbs up and the like and the comment, and I would also want you to follow. So last live, I talked about the environment, how the environment shapes you. If you take time to understand the power and the effect your environment has on you, in fact, most of what you become in life might be determined by the environment you grew up, the environment you stayed, or the environment you are staying. Say, for example, everybody around you, the best person you know, or you really know anybody who bought a house outright, it's always been mortgage. Say the person who tried the most is paying his mortgage on a 25 years, whatever. Now, when you live in these environments where everything is small, little or no money, or people are barely on the average, there is a very high chance that is what you are going to get out of your life. So, but let me not deviate from what I have to communicate towards here. So, environment, I'm talking about where your identity comes from, and I've spoken first about repetition. The second is environment. What you constantly hear from people around you sinks into your inner voice. Because what we're talking about here is mostly inner voice. What you are deep down within yourself. I'm not asking you to tell me. I'm saying what you believe about yourself when nobody is there. Obviously, I've seen people who lie to themselves, but that's the worst kind of experience you can have when you can lie to yourself. So when nobody is there to criticize you or to scrutinize whatever you have to say, what you tell yourself. I've failed at 5 businesses. Does that not mean that I'm a failure? Does that not mean that business is not for me? oh, I'm just not good. Everybody complains about this. It means that I am this. It means I am this. And you believe it. I've seen people believe that, who play it in their heads, like they just accepted that one day I'm going to hit somebody with a car. And it plays so much in their brain that they found a way to believe it. One day I'm going to hit somebody with a car. And they don't fight it. They just believe it. One day I'm going to hit somebody with a car. And as they drive, they picture it. They just feel like, why am I thinking this way? But because it has formed a part of their self-identity, they act it out. It just happens. Because what your brain believes as your identity is going to manifest it around you. It is just going to be manifested in your life. Now, let me give you a framework to this. When you keep saying to yourself, I am successful, I am successful, I am successful at a business, obviously you may look at your career path or whatever it is you're working at the moment. Say, I'm successful, I'm just a successful person. When you say this thing to yourself, you begin to see your life, maybe not immediately, because there's this saying that you cannot travel within and remain still without. So at some point in your life, your physical reality is going to catch up with whatever you believed yourself to be. And obviously, there are many more things to do. When there's the energy, there's going to be the insight, there's going to be the idea, the inspiration. Obviously, you still have to act on them as well. So what you constantly hear from people around you sinks into your inner voice. When they say it just doesn't work this way, when they say nobody succeeds this way, nobody does this, or you can't see anybody do it, or it's very difficult to be rich, it's very difficult to make money. When you hear those things over time, it becomes it. You start seeing that, money, it becomes difficult to make money, and you start finding it extremely difficult to make money. When I started this live, I gave you an example of the guy who said, I know it's going to be hard. I had to tell him, you believe that because that is the story you have been told. That is what you caught from your environment. Everybody believes it has to be hard. Everybody believes it has to be difficult. And so when life is coming soft at you, you label it, say, this is a scam. It's too good to be true. You while it away. Jeez, oh my God. I'm not getting into some things coming into my mind now because I would have it to take some of our time. So what people say sinks into you. Another thing, I've talked about how that when you are in an environment where their mindset does not help you grow, there are a number of things to do. I was coaching one of my mentees. At a point, I told them, see, you live in this environment where you don't have the luxury of buying or getting an apartment in a nice, secluded place. So you still live in an apartment where you have other neighbors. They can come out, you see them, they drink, they play football, play together, they're married, you see their children and things like that. One of the things you can do to guide your brain in that environment where they always talk about cheap things, they always see a small car and they say, oh, this is very expensive. Everything is expensive. They want to buy food, they say, oh, it's expensive now, everything is expensive. When you find people talk about everything as expensive, it's going to affect the way you see life. When you find people use negative things, they never see themselves rising above everything. They see themselves as victims. If you live in that environment, you are going to be one of them. And I remember telling this guy, if it takes that you sit in your apartment and not come out, if that is what it takes, sit in your apartment, do not come out, except when you need to. Because you need to protect what enters into your ear gates and what you see, what passes through your eye gates. I hope that makes sense. Now, we're talking about where your identity comes from. I've talked about repetition, environment, and the third is emotional moments. I want you to leave me likes on TikTok, and I want you to, if you want to see this on a better screen, you should follow me on YouTube, questions left unanswered, and then on Facebook would be Sheyi Aliu, and Instagram would be Sheyi Aliu as well. So, emotional moments. Now, when you find people go through traumas, successes, failures, they plant beliefs into your subconscious. For example, I talked about that when you see a man fail consecutively, or his failure is much more than success, he begins to think that he's lucky. I begin to think that success is for me, or it's true, success is for someone, or it's because I don't know, it's because my parents set up the playground for me. So you start believing out of it because what the data narrated is failure. And because you have a chance to resonate with it, that's what it's. If it is true, if find people, and I talk about variants of reality for those who just believe their victims, for those who believe their success. Because they've been in events where just believe, I know success. I've seen people because I am successful because of events where they have grown up. From things you I try to what to what you is and for a number to identify myself and be to define the wound is not the big parts and in about kind of lifestyle. So the shift and out talking in the success things you know to position you for success. We talked about them once in previous life and looking at your identity about this thing and we talking about I'll give us the about the next life where I the close in as both the belief. So most it like comes out of happen we say why dress nice. Say why do you have to do something that to be able to do in life? But you know people who are busy and not have it or see something dirty that's for some people are some